One thing I very much like doing with this channel is holding people to account for what they do and what they fail to do, and that's in action and in word. And quite often we look at Sadiq Khan and the London Assembly. For those that wonder why it's called the London Assembly, you need to look up regionalisation of England, the region of London, the Assembly. Where's Middlesex gone? And you start to work out all the pieces. But this London Assembly, this is the regular gathering where they interrogate Sadiq Khan, and he never answers any bloody questions. Now, this particular one is about the gangs, and I think it's very important that we go through and have a look at this piece of footage and see, what he's got up to this time. And it's all about money.
We touched on this yesterday at the Budget Committee, Mr. Mayor, so I know you'll have the answer for me. And I asked you how much additional funding is being used to support the Metropolitan Police Review into 9,000 historic cases to reassess for the potential of grooming gang involvement.
How much money? And did you hear that? 9,000. 9,000. My God.
Involvement. So can I have that figure?
Good morning. Thanks for your question. So just to remind them, I'm not sure she's aware. So at the moment, what the Met is doing is re-examining those thousands of cases of child sexual exploitation going back 15 years. I know, that's what I just said. Yeah. And the next phase is when the NCA and NPCC work with the Met Police Service to see how many of those cases require reinvestigation. That's when the Met Police will have an idea in relation to the cost. And the government has said, based on what Louise Casey said, let me go back, Louise Casey had said when she did her report, that the government should provide the support to individual police forces in terms of additional reinvestigation work undertaken. So the expectation is, if there's reinvestigation, the cost of the reinvestigation will come from central government, because what we don't want to do is be drawing money away from contemporary investigations, which have got to happen.
So you'll push for that?
It's really important.
Well, it is important
because if we don't get additional support, those horrible cases taking place now will be let down, and we can't afford another generation of young people let down.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, first of all, he's dodged a question. He won't give a figure. He's passed it over to central government. Makes you wonder where all the money's gone, doesn't it? But he makes the point that if you divert funds to investigate historic cases, then current cases may be affected. And that tells me one very important thing. This is still going on, and he obviously knows that. The other thing as well is historic cases need to be dealt with officially by official government channels. So why are we still in this situation? Why is Rupert Lowe the only game in town that's gone anywhere near this? That's, again, what I'd like to know. Questions, questions, questions. Will we get any answers?
But it's interesting now that you realise how important it is. Do you regret saying at the MQT last June, and I'll quote you, "There are no reported cases and no indication of grooming gangs in London"? Do you regret saying that now?
The starting point of all my answers has been to talk about the victims and survivors. And I'm quite clear in terms of victims and survivors in London. The situation is complex. That's not my experience. That's the experience of the Commissioner, the Deputy, the Assistant Commissioner, and many others.
Do you regret saying there were no instances of grooming gangs that you could see? Bearing in mind, that was June, and I actually asked you about grooming gangs, or rape gangs, as I will call them, in January.
It's because I take this issue so seriously that in 2023, not in June last year, I personally asked Her Majesty's Inspector, as it was then, to look into child protection in the Met Police Service, and we've acted.
A very important thing to note here is she's asked him at least twice, do you regret your words? Now, what was going on at the time is a blanket denial that there was a problem within London. and it's obviously come out since, there is a problem within London. And she's saying, do you regret what you said? A very simple yes or no answer would suffice. Do you realise the humility that that would show if you said, yes, I do regret it? But he can't say it. He can't say it. Instead, he's going on about funding and police and all the rest of it. It's a fucking joke. It really is.
On all the recommendations, which is why there's been a threefold increase in cases solved, is because of my concern about this issue. We have now
Right, you know we're on the clock.
approach.
I would think if you were that concerned, you wouldn't have pretended last January that you didn't know what I was talking about. But we'll go on. You've previously said that MOPAC had included an expectation of additional funding because they and you are incredibly ambitious, I'm quoting, but they were wrong twice. They got it wrong between November and January, and then they got the figures wrong between January and February. Now, I'm assuming they did speak to the Home Office in between. So if they did, you know, who's wrong here? Did they speak to the Home Office and get the wrong information? Or did your government give them the wrong information?
So which figure does the member mean?
The figures, if you look at the budget, which I'm sure you have done, the figures that they were estimating that you were going to get were very, very wrong in all those occasions. So MOPAC has got it wrong.
Well, I think, Chair, this is a really good example of the different approaches, neither of which are wrong, of financial advice. So my CFO and the GLA has been criticised at the office of for being too prudent when it comes to the draft budget being published and the final budget and not allocating reserves. And she was confident to do so.
The question was, did they talk to the Home Office?
No, MOPAC's been criticised for being ambitious in
Can
relation
you
to
just answer the question? What is it with Labour politicians that none of you ever seem to want to answer a question? Are you hiding something, or do you hold us all in so much contempt that you've no intention of answering? You answer Labour because probably the Mayor's office have written the questions for them. But when it comes to the rest of us, you do not answer properly. And now you're relying on David to give you answers. And you can rely on him, he gets it right. Unfortunately, MOPAC haven't. You often don't. So can you just answer yes or no? Did they speak to the Home Office before they put those figures in? Yes or no?
And so now MOPAC's been criticised for being ambitious in the estimates.
Right. I'm out of time. Chair, can you take it back? He never answers a damn question and we're all fed up with it.
On the clock. Khan knew it was on the clock. And waffle. You know, I had a brief chat with Susan Hall in London one time. Not a very lengthy chat, but I got the impression she was a nice lady. And you can see the frustration there. You know, she's trying to say, well, what's going on? I have questions on behalf of London. What's going on? And he can't answer them. She's dead right about questions from the other side, though. They're all pre-prepared and everything else. It is absolutely insane. And I've got to say that, again, like we saw in Gorton and Denton, the only way that this is going to change is if English, I mean English, come out in their thousands and vote to get these people out. Because if you don't, then you can't change anything. 47% was the turnout in Gorton and Denton. So you can tell what a very small minority of people voted for the winning party. Is that going to happen in London as well? Are we going to get such a small percentage? Are we going to get family block voting again? And it's going to end up in a situation where we end up with another 4 years of this geezer. Can't even call him that. Sir, whatever. It is absolutely unbelievable. We are seeing it in major cities where we are getting people that are not English, that are unconstitutional in their approach, and also their appointment to this office is unconstitutional. They're riding roughshod over and destroying major cities within England. When's it going to stop? How's it going to stop? And who can stop it? And until you do, nothing is going to change. Nothing. That's where it's important to get out and vote. I hear you. I can hear you screaming at the screen now. Oh, it doesn't work, vote. It doesn't change anything. That's because you're apathetic. You stay at home. You can't be asked. You need to do what I did in the United States of America. Overwhelm the system. Come out in your big, massive numbers. There's 50 million English plus. Where are you? That's what gets this country sorted out. Where are you? Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share my stuff. I'll talk to you soon. Toodaloo.